room.
Yeah, fantastic.
Can't see you at the back, but otherwise, right?
I want to warn everyone, I'm going to go to questions pretty early in this session, so please think of your questions. But first I want to ask you, Liz, there's been a lot of reporting out there in the last few weeks that younger people in particular are starting to Google things less. They're not going to traditional Google search. They're using some kind of AI chatbot, or they're using sort of these new AI-enabled search engines, things like Perplexity. How are you viewing this trend at Google, and how do you sort of want to trying to combat that potential loss of market share?
Yeah, so I mean, there's always been different options with search, and we welcome that. I think what we're really focused on with search is the user and really helping that user find information. The truth is that there are not just billions of questions that people come to Google for. There's billions of questions people don't even ask, and they don't ask because it's too hard. They don't ask because they're not confident they can get that answer. And so we really think about in search, how do we make it so that you can really ask anything you're curious about, and that it really feels effortless, that it's so easy to do that you don't think twice before you do that. And we think there's a huge opportunity ahead on that.
Interesting. You mentioned, people coming to search because they need answers and they want quality information. And there's a lot of concern right now about what's happening to the information ecosystem on the web. There was already a problem sort of even before generative AI exploded about search engine optimization and whether that was degrading the quality of information that was available on the internet. Then there's a doubling of that concern with generative AI and the fear that it's producing a lot of AI quote unquote slop that's out there. And how are you sort of seeking to address this problem at Google? Is that our concern now that we have a great search tool, but it's got to be able to surface information that's of value to people?
So ensuring that we surface high quality information is definitely paramount, and it's a huge reason that people have trusted search. This challenge has existed since the beginning of search, right? People have constantly created amazing content for the web, and they've created poor quality content. In many ways, it's a cat and mouse game with those who wish to create spam across. I would say AI-generated content isn't by itself intrinsically bad, right? You can use AI to really help people write and create and produce amazing information. But there's also this challenge of scaled content abuse. And this is something we take very seriously. It's something we've continued to work on for many years, such that the level of spam in search is very low. And we'll stay focused on it because it's absolutely paramount.
Great. You've now rolled out these AI overviews pretty widely. That's created a lot of concern on publishers, the part of people and other businesses that really depend on search traffic coming from Google, to their own websites where they seek to monetize that, often through advertising. What are you saying to publishers about where this technology is heading? Because there's a lot of concern in the industry about what the effect of this is going to be.
Yeah, so I think we have a long history in search and having a value exchange with the ecosystem, and we've sent billions of clicks for a long time. But one of the things that there's sort of this common misconception is that people either want answers or they want links. That's not actually what we find from research. People want to get started, but they actually really want to hear from other people. They're interested in their perspectives. They're interested in their understanding of the space. And so we've really tried to build AI overviews and continue to iterate them on a way that enables people to get started, but then continue to connect to the web. And we see that that's one of the things people love about AI overviews, is this ability to have that hybrid, to understand and then to continue on in your journey. And I think that's only going to continue. We see that people, especially younger users, really want to hear from the authentic voices. They want to hear from the people they trust. And that's part of what makes search special, connecting to the web. And so that's at the heart of how we think about in the AI transformation, still enabling that mission of connecting people to the best of the web. And how can actually AI make that even better in allowing people to connect to truly the best of the web?
Are people still clicking links with AI overviews?
We do see people click both within the AI overviews as well as on the rest of the page. And in fact, when we see AI overviews, we see that the clicks that go out to the web are of higher quality. People spend more time on the sites they go because these are really giving the information that they want.
Interesting. All right, questions from the audience. Who's got a question? Right here, this gentleman has a question. That hand went up very quickly. Let's wait till the mic gets to you. If you can let us know who you are.
Yeah, Josh Legasic with Insigniam. I didn't even know that was a thing. It just started popping up, and I love using this.
I'm glad to hear that. That's great to hear.
Agree with the clicking back and forth. My question is it learning from me and feeding back answers to me, or is it learning from everyone and feeding back answers to me, or is there something else that's happening?
So I think there's different levels of your question. There's sort of what is the level of contextualization that we think about in these spaces. And there's some understanding of like how do we interpret the query that can be more contextual. But in general, we use throughout search, not just in AI overviews, but broadly, we try and learn from information in a very privacy-safe way, giving people controls. But we can learn a lot. This is how people learn. These are the best sites to go to, right, is often based on user feedback in addition to our high-quality signals. So we try to do it in a way that's very clear, that gives people agency, but that we can actually improve based on the usage of the product.
Great. Other questions from the audience? Oh, how about this woman back here? There we go. Wait for the panel.
Hi, I'm Julia Martensen with ServiceNow. I mean, Google search has obviously been the best for a long time in terms of search and also providing the right results. Ads kind of maybe for some more cumbersome, for some more enjoyable. I'm wondering, with seeing how LLMs went also into more domain-specific small language models, I wonder if maybe a roadmap question, could we ever see a domain-specific Google search basically where you're also kind of going down that level and making it more relevant for that specific domain you're in?
I think we've continued to look at different domains in different ways. I mean, if you come to search today, we have a mode that enables you to do images, right? If you really want to go deep in images, we have the ability to go deeper on shopping or on local or on others. And I think that will continue. There will be cases where what really people want is a specialized understanding of information. I also think with AI, the ability to just personalize evolves in ways that we don't traditionally think. A lot of people previously with personalization, with ranking, think of it as like, okay, I'm going to re-rank just the sites, okay? But actually, there's a lot of different ways in which personalization can be useful, okay? It starts with basics like some people love video results and some people really do not, okay? Can you understand that? What's the level of understanding of which you want a responses? Are you an expert in that domain and we should assume so? Or are you, sort of trying to help your 5-year-old with a concept that you don't actually know very much and explain it to her, and how can you do that? Are you on the middle of a long journey or on a shorter journey? Do you like to scan information quickly? Are you an audio learner? And then we should make it easier to understand information in that form. And so I think besides getting better within domains, there's just a huge opportunity to start to understand, like, what does it really mean to make information effortless? If you go back to the mission, most people, like if they repeat the Google mission, kind of stop halfway through. They go organize the world's information, and that's kind of where they stop. But there's this part at the end about universally accessible and useful. Like, if we show you information that's organized but it is not useful to you, it's not really that useful, right, overall. And so I think there's an opportunity with AI to rethink what it means to give information in a way that's truly useful to you, that truly feels effortless to consume and interact with.
There's a lot of people really like the AI overviews, and a lot of businesses use Google search either on their websites to allow customers to search for things, or they use it internally on their own information. Is there the ability to kind of take the AI overview kind of technology and have that work on your own site or on your own information?
Yeah. So there's a bunch of different offerings that Google Cloud has. And I will confess that I'm not the expert in Google Cloud, so you may want to get additional information on this. But at a high level, we both have services that allow you to have your own data, basically ground a response in the data on your site. There's also a service that allows grounding with search so that you can get the best of sort of search's understanding of what's high quality information in your product. And so cloud offers a variety of different surfaces so that we can actually take some of the key underlying LLMs and understanding about how to get high quality information and make it available for others.
Right. I know there was at least one more audience question. This gentleman right there, let's get him in, and then maybe I'll have time for one more of my own. But
Hi, my name is Matt Sandler. I'm involved in running Gen AI at McDonald's. Curious, Google's famously brought search together in like one bar that you can do everything in. And yet now you're sort of splintering it again. You've got your Gemini product, I've got your Gemini app. Where do you see this going? Do you see it sort of coming back to one interface, or do you see sort of the chat interface and the search interface?
that's a great question. I swear I didn't set you up for that, because that was the other question I was going to ask, is are the products going to blur together? You have Gemini as a separate product from search. Yeah. Are those going to be kind of recombined?
I don't think we honestly know what the future has. We're pretty early in the journey. I do think that one of the things I think about a lot is how do you meet users where they are? And so if they come to search, can we give them the information in the form they want? If they choose to use Gemini, can they do that? If you actually go back and like long enough ago, people asked this question about YouTube and Google's video search. They asked this question about Google Maps and local search on search, like, wait, where should I search for a restaurant? On search or maps? Should we just merge search and maps together? Really what you want to do is make it easy, like whatever is easiest for the user to come forth. The other thing that I would add in that space is that I think you've mentioned the keyword box, okay? Actually, search is evolving, such the keyword box is only a component, right? We introduce voice, we introduce lens. Hopefully all of you know what lens is. If not, you should come find me afterwards. That ability to search for what you see. And I think the space of information is going much more multimodality in its input. And the reason is because we're humans that existed a long, long time before technology. And the way that we understand the world and we think about the world is based on a lot of different senses, right? It's based on what we see and what we hear and how we talk across. And so if you want to make information effortless, we're going to continue in search to think about what is the most natural way you would express. If you had no constraints, if you assumed tech was not a barrier, and you just asked your friend as easy as possible, how can you have that experience with search such that the tech really comes to you instead of you having to translate your need to the tech?
Liz, you've got this, Google has, as everyone knows, this Department of Justice case that's out there, and there's just been this remedy phase, and some of the suggested remedies involve the separation of search from other products. Are you guys actually sort of planning internally for if you had to implement one of those remedies, what that would look like?
So I don't have more really that I can comment on regards to this. What I will say about search is that we have consistently found that users choose search because they really find it the most helpful. And I think we're going to continue to really focus from my point of view on how do we help users.
Got it. There's a lot of talk about sort of agentic AI and people maybe using other agents. Increasingly, you might have people coming to Google search that are not actually human. It's, you have an agent coming. How are you thinking about that, the idea that the user may not actually be a person?
I think in general, our goal at the end of the day is to help the user as people interface or as agents interface with search in different ways. I think we will always try and evolve it to the question about like, okay, how do you help the agent such the agent helps the user? But at the end of the day, we're really focused on helping people, and we're continuing to innovate in that space.
Right. And can you give us any sense of, roadmap? Are we going to see more multimodality? What are we going to see from search going forward?
I think you will definitely see more multimodality. I think in general, you will continue to see this evolution such that it feels like accessing information feels just much easier. It feels more effortless. It feels like the question that you actually have in your mind is the question you get to ask. You don't have to break it down. You don't have to translate it. You don't have to worry about what language you speak. You don't have to worry about how you learn best. And that search just becomes much more accessible in a new and exciting way.
Great. Fantastic. That's all the time we have for today. But thank you to Liz, and thank you all for listening.